In understanding the work of interpretation, we will break down our categories into three broader categories and then go through the more narrow aspects of them. The three categories are logos, telos, and ethos. Logos, telos, and ethos are Greek terms that you have likely encountered before, whether in Greek or their English equivalents. Logos refers to reasoned meaning, logic, intelligibility, and coherence in communication. Telos denotes an end or goal, the purpose toward which an act or statement is ordered. Ethos concerns moral character and habit, shaping how you act and judge over time. The following three sections are organized according to these categories. As we move through them, they will help us understand interpretation as a rational act, logos, ordered towards proper ends, telos, and governed by moral responsibility, ethos. Supported by scripture, this framework is intended to guide us in approaching interpretation in a way that is reasonable, purposeful, and marked by habits that glorify God. So, logos and intentional meaning. Logos and intentional meaning. Logos in classic rhetoric refers to reasoned speech ordered towards intelligibility. Speech is not noise, indistinct, or raw expression. It is a rational act aimed at understanding. In the classical tradition, especially associated with the Reformed tradition, logos assumes rational speakers, rational hearers, and discoverable meaning. Without intention, logos collapses completely, and meaning becomes incoherent. So the first core claim we need to recognize is that meaning is intentionally communicative. Meaning is intentionally communicative. Meaning exists because rational agents intend to communicate something intelligible to another rational agent. Meaning does not arise from text alone or from the reader, but from the communicative act of the speaker or author. If meaning is not intended, interpretation no longer has understanding. It becomes projection or power. Under natural law, human beings are rational. They work concepts. Teleological, they act towards ends. They're moral, being accountable for their actions. Speech, therefore, is not an act independent of moral order, but rather is a moral act ordered towards understanding. To speak without intending meaning would be irrational, that is, to no end, and unjust, placing burden of meaning on the hearer. This is why deception is universally condemned across cultures. For it violates the natural obligation of truthful communication. So logos is not morally neutral. Understanding is the basis of responsibility. Scripture assumes this moral structure. Jesus says, he who has ears, let him hear. Hearing presupposes that something intelligible is being communicated. If a trumpet makes an uncertain sound, who will prepare for battle? 1 Corinthians 14:8. Action depends on clear intended meaning. Without intentional meaning, obedience, belief, rejection, or judgment become impossible. So while Scripture never argues for intentional meaning, it assumes it everywhere. 1 Corinthians 2:16 states, "For who has known the mind of the Lord? But we have the mind of Christ." Communication presupposes a knowable mind behind the words. Christ said that he had spoken openly to the world, and in secret he had said nothing. John 18:20. Public speech grounds public accountability. These texts only make sense if meaning is intentionally communicative. This principle excludes reader response relativism, postmodern indeterminacy, and the idea that the text means whatever it means to you. These views do not merely differ, they deny logos itself. Scripture rejects such instability. For as Christ said in Matthew 5:37, let your yes be yes and your no be no. And in 1 Corinthians 14:33, God is not the author of confusion. So if meaning is intentionally communicated, and the tools of that communication, words themselves, have stable public meaning, then that brings us to principle number 2. Next, we'll go into the fact that words have a stable public meaning.